That's why customs duties didn't affect the prices. Who benefits from Obamacare, and why do pensioners need marijuana? I'll answer within 15 minutes, I promise. And in the meantime, and probably most importantly, who lives well in America, producers or parasites? And soon you'll also find out which of the presidents, which of them was named Liar of the Year. Let's start with Obama and his Obamacare, meaning care about us. Care means to care, right? Barack Haas swore 16 times. I thought that his bill would lower healthcare costs, reduce expenses for a family of 4, as he said, for a typical family by about $2,500. He said that if you don't want to change your doctor or you don't want to change your insurance, you won't have to, and the whole country will be covered. Not a single American will be left without medical care. Well, people tightened their belts and jumped into this thing. As for the first point, you won't have to change your doctor and your insurance is protected, unless you want to, of course. Yes, Obama was publicly awarded the Liar of the Year prize. It turned out to be such a lie, and what's more, promise number 2 worked out just like in that Odessa joke. Rabinovich didn't win, he lost, and not in chess, but in a card game. And it wasn't 1,000 rubles, but 40 kopecks. And otherwise, just like that, exactly as Obama told us, Obama promised what he promised. Obama promised that. A typical family of 4 would save $2,500 a year, but 2 years later, we saw that this very typical family started paying $2,500 more than before. So the difference between what was promised and the truth turned out to be $5,000. But the scariest thing turned out to be when calculating the expected life expectancy for the previous 20 years before Obamacare. So life expectancy from 1990 to 2010 increased from 75.2 years to 78.2 years on average between men and women. That's a huge leap. Yes, 3 years. That's a huge leap for one generation. It's 3 years now, since 2010. Well, that is, the adoption of this very Obamacare, improvements in our health care. Life expectancy began for the first time, it seems, in modern history. In the United States, it started to decline from the year the law was passed and kept falling all the way until COVID. And in 2019, 2022, it didn't just fall, it collapsed. And only in 2023, 2024 did it begin to partially recover. After COVID, many people died who weren't operated on in time or who didn't get examined, or those who were injected with something unclear and against the virus to which their body reacted. Yes, the virus that was so frightening, the one that scared the whole world. So ObamaCare is more expensive. Subtitle editor, proofreader A. Kulikova. And everyone is uncomfortable because of the changes in doctors and hospitals. But the most important thing, they said everyone would be covered by insurance. Everyone would get it. Is that true? If not, then why? Simon pushed. We'll explain in 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, up to now, 8% of the population, that's, by the way, 26 million people, are not covered by insurance, but the government is responsible for all of them. The government sends money to insurance companies for people who don't even know they're covered by insurance. They have no idea about it. They don't use it. Don't you find anything strange about that? A House committee found that only under double insurance, when people have no idea that they have, say, Medicaid, which is for low-income people, and Obamacare at the same time, which are two completely different things. So taxpayers give insurance companies $14 billion every year just under this section, and the total amount we give away to insurers for nothing is $35 billion a year. So, the answer to the question, why is this being done? It's very easy to steal. Why else? Just give the money to people, Trump says, let's just send this money not to corporations since we're sending it anyway, but directly to people's accounts and they can spend it however they want. Do you think the insurers give a little bit of this money to our elected lawmakers so they don't notice anything and don't change anything? And also, do you think the insurance companies like them? Trump is gone, the one who suggested Congress take this money away from the insurers, so what are the insurance companies doing now? They use expensive ads in the press, in the mass media. They bribe all the newspapers, online publications, and television. As soon as someone in Congress or the Senate starts raising this issue, they're hit with a barrage of lies from the press, and they go silent. That's the stick. And the carrot is campaign contributions to good members of Congress. And do you know how to tell the good ones from the bad ones? A good one is a contractor who doesn't object to anything and protects the interests not of the people you elected, but of the people who pay him. Who has a good life in America? So, who do you think has a good and wonderful life in America? First of all, insurance companies get billions for nothing, just like that, for nothing. Secondly, elected officials, yes, they're always being bought. Third, it's good to be a bureaucrat. It's almost impossible to get rid of an official. They have a union there, which is a crazy idea. A union of government workers. It's insane. But anyway, the union protects them. It'll take a lot of money from them, sure, but it won't let them get fired. Now, in the federal government, employees get a salary plus a pension plus benefits that are higher than in private businesses. The total of all that, maybe the salary itself is a bit lower, but in reality it's almost always the same or even higher. But nevertheless, this whole combination, this total amount, is significantly better than in the private sector. In private business, everything depends on profitability and luck. If you're also the owner of a small business, by the way, there are 5 million small businesses in America, yes, then you're constantly at risk of losing your business, losing your home, losing your retirement, losing everything else. That's why in the United States, as in Europe for some time, working 9 to 5 has become much more profitable. Not being responsible for anything, not worrying about anything, and forgetting about work the moment you step out of the office. So it's better to live when you're not responsible for anything. You can't be fired. Pensions and benefits are guaranteed, just like in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, right? Yes, so live however you want, just don't say anything. Don't even think about Soviet power, sleep peacefully, and the service goes on. And where is it going? Officials really don't care at all, to be honest. Officials have become so savage from idleness, so to speak. There are many of them, but little work for officials. I mean, they just sit together in a circle right in the offices themselves, squatting and smoking. Michael, the smell spreads throughout the whole building, and their bosses are paid with our money. At this time, he's taking champagne baths in the Maldives to smoke or to drink, and if to smoke, then what? After decades of debates, heated discussions, and the population being split into two opposing camps, one for the complete ban of marijuana, the other for its full legalization, the Trump administration is proposing something that even the staunchest supporters of this so-called harmless drug were taken aback by. It's not harmless, said the Trump White House. It's beneficial, and we will give marijuana to those in need for free. Starting in 2026, all retirees who are prescribed pain medication by a doctor can go to dispensaries. They can go to a marijuana pharmacy and get up to $500 a year worth of cannabidiol, which is marijuana with the narcotic substances removed. But as we know very well from food stamps, if you ask nicely, they'll pretend to give you cannabidiol, but in reality, they'll give you a tasty candy or maybe a cigarette, which is just as tasty. Personally, I'm absolutely not against it, by the way. I'm just a bit shocked by this circumstance. At one time, I got myself a certificate just in case. stating that I suffer a lot and have the right to buy whatever they're selling. But here, you don't even need a certificate. Well, it's just like they prescribed it to you, that's all. There's Tylenol. You go to a marijuana pharmacy, a dispensary, and show it. They quickly told you to take it, wrote your social security number, maybe something else or a card, and gave it to you. Let me clarify, this is a program for those who have Medicaid. For most retirees in the United States who receive pensions, they have Medicaid here. It's experimental, and according to various studies, it can significantly reduce the use of opioids, which means it can replace them with decriminalized cannabis. I think that many of my elderly peers, my contemporaries, children of the 60s, will gladly welcome this innovation. They really like the idea of lowering the prices of medications prescribed by doctors, so it's kind of a double pleasure. And medications. Now I'll explain how to buy medications cheaper, twice as cheap. And you bought the medications cheaper, got marijuana for free, and went to celebrate. The thing is, at the beginning of 2026, a portal will open, and it will be called Trump. RX is a pharmacy where medications will be sold on average 50% cheaper than the price we pay today. These are prescription medications. The ones that are prescribed, not the ones you can buy at any pharmacy without a doctor's prescription, but prescription drugs, not over-the-counter prescription. So if pharmacies want to sell even cheaper, people will go to them. If not, they will lose customers. Those who will pay through Medicaid. Again, that's the healthcare system for low-income people. The discount will be up to $85. Well, not for everything. Naturally, it starts with the drugs from one specific company, Pfizer, and then other manufacturers will be added. But Pfizer already has a pretty wide range of products. But what about medicines that are produced abroad? Since they have huge import duties, you might ask. We plan to impose 10 to 15 tariffs on medicines from the European Union and 150 to 250 on medicines from China. Previously, everything we imported, medicines, all sorts of medical items, had 0 tariffs, and our medicines also weren't subject to tariffs in other countries. Now, as I understand, they will start being taxed. Previously, in World Trade Organization countries, they weren't taxed. Now, why are we doing this? Why are we introducing tariffs? First, we're saying produce here in the United States of America, and you won't have to pay any tariffs. Second, we plan to eliminate income taxes for citizens, and we need money from tariffs to support the police and the army. But tariffs unexpectedly bring in so much that 1.25 million American soldiers will get it by Christmas. People, such a strange number is coming up now. $1,776 is an odd amount. Yes. The thing is, that's the year the United States declared independence, and in 2026, we'll be celebrating America's 250th anniversary. It's the day the nation and its armed forces were founded. In addition, from these same funds, Trump proposes to send $2,000 to all citizens with below-average income. For an adult, and I think for a child, if I'm not mistaken, it's $600. So if this proposal is approved in Congress, a family of 4 will receive a gift of 2 adults, 2 children, $5,200 in dividends from the profits from the import taxes that we, so to speak, imposed on the goods brought in here. I think we've had a good week. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen, after Obama and the Democrats pushed ObamaCare on us? Deceiving the country, of course. They announced subsidies that covered their, so to speak, blatant deception. Each family was supposed to get $5,000 a year, but after deductions, they actually received $2,500 less, a $5,000 discrepancy. So they had to subsidize it because people were up in arms, and then even that wasn't enough. And, during COVID, they passed a law to introduce increased subsidies until the end of 2025. But Trump doesn't want to extend this deception. He says that when 2025 ends, these subsidies will end too. And if these increased subsidies aren't extended, Obamacare will become 1.5 to 2 times more expensive for the middle class than it is now. And that means that 6 to 7 million people will leave it and either start living without health insurance or start looking for cheaper options. And if Trump's team comes out with an initiative for basic insurance, that is, to make it insurance. Because today, health insurance is not really insurance. It's more like providing you with everything you need in medicine. Take car insurance, for instance. We pay a small fee, so if there's an accident, incident, or theft, we're compensated. But when you need to fill up with gas, you don't go to your insurance. Or if you need to change the oil, you don't go to your insurance. But when it comes to medicine, no matter what happens, whether you need a shot, need to check for worms, have a toothache or a headache, or if you just want to talk to someone and there's no one, you go to the doctor. So that means all of this is paid for by the one who gets money from us for this insurance, from us and from the government, in other words. In other words, if 6 to 7 million people drop out and don't get any insurance, it will be a huge blow to Trump and the Republicans. And if they get some other better option, that will be a huge plus. Let's add to this that now, having Medicare, they will get some medications at half price. And moreover, they will now receive these so-called dividends. The number of jobs is increasing. Salaries are actually growing very little, but they are growing, thank God. We learned inflation is already decreasing. If it was 3 for the year, it counts. But in October, it was 3, and in November, in September, in October, we didn't count. In September, it was 3, but in November, it became 2.7. It may seem like that's very little to you, but actually, a decrease of 0.3 in September is a very, very good reduction. So we're moving in the right direction, as they say, comrades. So if all of this happens together, then of course the economic situation will clearly start to improve. And people's perception of what's happening in the country will also start to improve. And the only thing missing, gentlemen, will be trials for the scoundrels who tormented us, who tormented Trump, democracy, and the Republicans. Those who disagree that girls should shower together with healthy 2-meter-tall men just washing together. If you want to get content like this, write, subscribe, and click the bell. The internet will be more than happy to send you my videos. But what if you find something interesting, I was here, thank you, you heard me, you got it, right? Then share it with your friends. Always know well. To be continued with interesting things, unexpected things to share. Subtitle editor, proofreader, goodbye. Subtitle editor, lo seva.